Fool's Day, everybody. April 1st, 2013. April 1st, 2013. Breaking news. Dr. Wallach is elected the Surgeon General of the United States, and the Food and Drug Administration has been disbanded. The members of the FDA have been sent to jail. Leading pharmaceutical companies in the United States have all been taken under government control, their assets seized. Congressional panels have been started to look into racketeering by the pharmaceutical companies and the MDs for the past 100 years. And President Obama makes a steadfast pledge to support and promote the dissemination of naturopathic medical education throughout the United States. Of course, April Fools. Wouldn't it be great if all of that stuff came to pass? This is what is, in fact, would be needed in order to make the change that we all believe in. To be the change that we all believe in, this is what it would take, but this apple cart is so big that it's not going to be upset in the same way that the banks, HSBC, is too big to fail and now, in fact, too big to jail. The pharmaceutical industries and the medical monopoly have us by the short and curlies to such an extent that there is no way on God's green earth they are going to go anywhere. So, since we don't have the wherewithal to fight them, since we don't have the means to fight them, since we don't have nearly the money necessary in order to engage them legally, the only option that we have left is to ignore them. We can still do that. Even though the president, of course, with Obamacare, passing laws that make it mandatory for us now to buy medical insurance, and if you don't buy medical insurance, you're going to be penalized, right? So, get penalized. That's my recommendation. Or better yet, get medical insurance that gives you coverage in case you are T-boned by a drunk driver at an intersection, or you break your leg skiing, or heaven forbid, you have some type of trauma to your body, because that's what you need conventional medicine for. So buy catastrophic health care coverage so you will be in compliance with the law, but become a longevity member instead. Or in addition to that, become a longevity member, sign up for my online health recovery tutorials, educate yourself about what you can do to support and promote the healing the healing power inherent in the human body. Take a stand for your own health. Draw a line in the sand and say, listen, I have woken up. I am no longer going to commit my body into the hands of an allopathic reductionistic medical practitioner unless I have trauma or surgery is absolutely positively needed, and it's absolutely positively the last resort. Under those circumstances, I'm happy to go to the MD, but for everything else, I'm going to fire the MD and educate myself about what I can do to support and promote the healing ability of my body. Remember, only you can prevent allopathic reductionism. You still have a say in the matter, folks. You can still say no. You can still say, look, no, I don't want the vaccine. Look, no, I don't want the drugs. Look, no, I don't want the radiation. Look, no, I don't want the prescription medicine that just suppresses my symptoms and manages the problem. I don't want the fake knee. I'd really rather do it a different way. You still have that option. I encourage you to exercise that option until they take that away from you as well. And if they ever try to do that, well, that's a different story, isn't it? Last week, I promised to tell you today why Dr. Oz is the most dangerous man in the United States, and so let's get into that right now. This is not an April Fool's joke. Dr. Oz has become the voice of alternative medicine. Dr. Oz has become the go-to person for people seeking advice outside of the domain of conventional medicine. Dr. Oz, of course, was championed by Oprah. Dr. Oz, a cardiac surgeon, came on the Oprah show about a decade ago, and like Dr. Phil, became the go-to person for all things medical in the United States. And in that time, Dr. Oz, in response to social concerns, in response to how to get better ratings, has positioned himself as the expert on things, or maybe not the expert, but the funnel the media funnel through which all things alternative are expressed, and there's a problem with this. Number one, because by Dr. Oz positioning himself in this way, he is forwarding the myth of the MD. And this is the biggest problem that we have with healthcare in the United States, is that we believe that the MDs know what's best for us, when in point of fact, the MDs only know what they've been trained in, and what they've been trained in represents only one small piece of the pie of medical science. But MDs are so arrogant. They have such a built-in massive amount of hubris. I mean, the hubris that MDs bring to the table is Herculean. It's Herculean hubris. How about that for some alliteration? Herculean hubris. And just a massive amount of arrogance. So MDs are inclined to believe that even though they haven't been trained in it, they're still okay to have an opinion about it, right? So Dr. Oz, being a cardiac surgeon, not having any training, zero training, zero clinical experience, zero appreciation, and just a little bit of respect for medical nutrition, positions himself as the go-to person to get advice about things having to do with anything other than drugs and surgery. And, you know, Dr. Oz's position bolsters the myth of the MD. It makes people think that MDs, just because they're MDs, by some magic, know everything that there is to know about medicine, and it's okay for the MD to have an opinion, to put forth their ideas and their notions as fact about holistic medicine. And so Dr. Oz, positioning himself as the go-to person for all things alternative, is reinforcing the notion that the only thing necessary to have an opinion about anything having to do with medical science is to have an MD after your name. Now, if Dr. Oz started walking around town having opinions about nuclear energy, if Dr. Oz started walking around town having opinions about real estate, if Dr. Oz started walking around town having opinions about the best way to smash the atom and create a better nuclear bomb, you would question his position, because that is clearly outside of his domain. But when Dr. Oz starts forwarding notions about vegetarianism, about vitamin therapy, about the use of herbs, about the use of chiropractic medicine, when Dr. Oz starts telling you about everything outside of drugs and surgery having to do with medicine, you lap it up, as if he's by somehow endowed by God with this massive knowledge base about all things medical. And see, he doesn't. Dr. Oz's education is as a reductionistic allopathic physician. And in a perfect world, it would be illegal for Dr. Oz or any other MD to have an opinion in public, in a public forum like a television program, about anything having to do with anything other than what he was trained in. Dr. Oz is a cardiac surgeon. Now, if Dr. Oz wants to have a program telling you the ins and outs of cardiac surgery, if he wants to tell you about how the anesthesia drugs work, about how the heart-lung machine works, about the advances that have been made in cardiac surgery, about the new sterile techniques that they've developed, about the new scalpels that they've developed, about the robots that they're developing, about the use of laser scalpels, great, because that's the domain of Dr. Oz. But when Dr. Oz starts dipping his toe in holistic territory, and you don't hold his feet to the fire, you don't question him about it, and you lap it up, like a man dying of thirst lapping up a bowl full of water, well, that's a problem. Because the presence of Dr. Oz reinforces the false notion that MDs own medicine. It reinforces the false notion that MDs own medicine. Honestly, in order for Dr. Oz, if it were a perfect world, and Dr. Oz wanted to talk about anything outside of allopathic reductionistic drugs and surgery, it should be mandatory for him to go back to school and get licensed as a naturopathic physician and have at least 10 years of clinical experience before he opens his mouth. But because MDs have hubris the size of Mount Everest, because they think that they know everything, because they think that their point of view is the only point of view, and they're going to use vitamins the same way that they use drugs and surgery, and because they have no reflection, because they have no self-policing, because they think that they're the kings of everything, when they get their feet wet in this domain and sell it to you, you buy it. Dr. Oz, the presence of Dr. Oz, reinforces the false notion that the MD is the king of medicine, and this is why Dr. Oz is the most dangerous man in the United States. Why? Well, the leading cause of death in the United States, MD-directed therapeutics. The leading cause of bankruptcy, MD-directed therapeutics. So Dr. Oz's presence on the stage, with 1 foot in the world of holistic medicine and 1 foot squarely in the world of reductionistic MD-directed therapeutics, when Dr. Oz positions himself as the go-to person for all things medical, including holistic, and you buy it, that is a gigantic problem. Because it forwards the false notion that the MDs actually have a say, that the MDs actually know what they're talking about when it comes to holistic therapeutics, and they do not. You would not expect a communist to be able to give you advice about voting machines, right? You would not expect a born-again Christian to be able to tell you about reincarnation. You would not expect a Buddhist to be able to tell you about one soul, one incarnation, one life, would you? No, it's outside of their domain. But when Dr. Oz starts talking about it, nobody questions him, because we have deeply bought the myth of the MD. And every time you turn on Dr. Oz, you're taking another sip of that Kool-Aid, and it's bad. Because MD-directed medical therapeutics are the leading cause of death. And the best possible thing that you can do, and anybody in your family can do, is guess what? Fire your MD now. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden, April 1st, 2013. The last thing I want to say about this whole Dr. Oz issue is, it's propaganda, right? But the problem with Dr. Oz, and the problem with many medical doctors who are getting involved in holistic therapeutics, there's this whole classification of stuff being taught to MDs now and osteopaths and chiropractors called integrative medicine. See, the problem is, a fool who knows he's a fool is a fool indeed. But let me start over. A fool who thinks he's wise is a fool indeed, but a fool that knows he is a fool is that much wiser. See, Dr. Oz doesn't know that he can't shift paradigms. Dr. Oz doesn't know that he's wrong. Dr. Oz thinks that he's correct, but he doesn't know what he doesn't know, and he doesn't know that he's wrong, that his perceptions are incorrect. He doesn't know it. And because he doesn't know that he's wrong, and because he thinks that he's correct in getting involved with holistic medicine, because he doesn't understand that you cannot deliver holistic therapeutics through a reductionistic model, because he just doesn't get this one fundamental piece of information, he's lost. And so Dr. Oz, not knowing that he's a fool in this regard, promotes propaganda that's extremely powerful. Now, propaganda is powerful anyway, right? I mean, Saigon Sally, whatever her name was, during the Vietnam War, Frederick Goebbels during World War II and then Germany. Whenever we have a war, there's propaganda that's pitched, and why do they use propaganda? Because it works. The problem with Dr. Oz's propaganda is that Dr. Oz believes his own stuff. He doesn't know that he's wrong. And when you're pitching a particular message with heart and soul and you don't know that you're wrong, it's a big problem, because it's easy to convince people that your way is the right way when your way is the wrong way. And this is why Oz is the most dangerous man in the United States, because he perpetuates the false notion that when it comes to medical science, the MD is the undisputed king of the hill and everybody else is a back-of-the-bus quack. It's nonsense. And it's dangerous. And Dr. Oz should be avoided for everything not having to do with cardiac surgery, because cardiac surgery is his domain. If he just stuck to that, I would be happy. But enough about this ranting. Let's go to London, why don't we? Talk to Gareth, who's calling in with a question about arthritis. Hey, Gareth, all the way from London. Thanks for calling. You are live.
Oh, thank you, Doc. Thank you for taking my call, Dr. Glidden. I really appreciate it. And I'm a new listener, and I'm certainly going to be paying lots and lots of attention to what you have to say, sir.
Very good. Thanks. How can I help?
Okay, sir. I have a 3-year-old son who's been diagnosed with polyarticular arthritis.
Oh, holy smokes! Yeah.
Yeah, and basically, if I can give you a little history, the very just 20 or 30 second synopsis, that'd be fantastic if I could just quickly run that by you.
You go.
He's been totally healthy all the way through. He's never had any issues whatsoever, antibiotics, nothing. And in October last year, he got bitten by a tick. Now, we took him to the doctors, and the doctor basically turned around and said, oh, don't worry about it, and, and we're not in an area that's Lyme, sort of, it does exist here. And also he had a cyst come up on his eye. So again, nothing seemed to really everything was fine. But then in December he caught the chicken pox. And then from there we've had sort of a downhill struggle. He started, he had no, he said the chicken pox were hurting him. This was in the December. And then January, once it was all over, he started itching. And then all of a sudden his hands have started to get very stiff and swollen.
Yeah.
And then they say in the March, now I've got it written, in the March we took him to the doctors and they said he had polyarticular JIA, that version of it.
Yeah.
And the serology test, because we did say to him about the Lyme tick bite in October, that came back in negative, the Lyme serology.
Yeah.
And everything was, all these blood tests were normal apart from the raised ANA anti-nuclear.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And basically, I've just really taking some advice off you, sir, really.
All right. Well, holy smokes, Gareth. I am so glad that you called. How old is your son and how much does he weigh?
He's 40. He's about 38, 40 pounds, and he's 3 years old. He's 4 in August. Okay,
40 pounds. And you don't have him on any special diets, right? Your family's not veg... Go ahead.
No, he hasn't been, Doctor, but we have started to recently because, like, what we did notice last year, we've actually put lots of things together, me and my wife, and he was going, I don't really know how to say it 'cause it's so sad to think it, but he was going to the toilet every sort of 3 to 5 days at one point.
Okay, good. Hold on. All right, Gareth, hold on, buddy. I'm going to dial this in for you. We're up against Peter Glidden. It's an international show today. We're talking to Gareth all the way from London. We always take the international callers first. So Gareth's 4-year-old or 40-pound 3-year-old son was diagnosed with polyarticular juvenile onset arthritis, which is fancy schmancy doctor talk for pain in the joints. All right. Now, Gareth, you still with me?
I am, Doctor. Yes, I'm still here.
All right, so I want to line this up for you. In the interest of time, I'm going to tell you what I would give him every day for 3 months, and then I'll explain why, okay? So what I would give him in order to support and promote the structure and function of his bones and joints is I would order 1 healthy start pack, 1 bottle of glucogel capsules at the 240 count, 1 bottle of glucogel capsules at the 240 count, and 1 bottle of selenium. 1 bottle of selenium. Now, because he's 40 pounds, that healthy start pack is going to last him 3 months, more or less. It's going to last him 3 months, more or less, because here's how I want you to give it to him. In the healthy start pack, there's a product called Beyond Tangy Tangerine. It's a red multi-nutrient powder. I would like him to take 1/2 of a scoop. There's a little blue scoop in that. I want to give him 1/2 of a scoop twice a day in 8 ounces of water each time. 1/2 of a scoop of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine red powder twice a day in 8 ounces of water, and I want him to take his time drinking it. You can also make popsicles out of that, but it has to be in the same dilution. 1/2 of a scoop to 8 ounces of water twice a day. Another part of the Healthy Start Pack is a white liquid calcium called OsteoFX. O-S-T like Thomas, E-O, F like Frank, X like X-ray, OsteoFX Plus. His dose, the recommendation, would be 1 tablespoon of the OsteoFX Plus in a couple of ounces of orange juice, twice a day. and he can just slug that down. Put 1 tablespoon of the white liquid calcium and a little bit of orange juice and have him pop it down twice a day. The next component of the Healthy Start Pack is a little fish oil capsule. I want you to give him 1 capsule of fish oil twice a day. 1 capsule of the fish oil, actually 1 capsule of the fish oil a day, 1 a day, 1 a day, okay? Now, you can just have him swallow that. You can have him, it's a little gel cap. He can pop it in his mouth and pop it with his teeth and chew it up like a gummy bear. Or you can pierce the gel cap with a pin, squeeze the oil out, and put it on his food, but I want him to get 1 of those capsules a day. And the final addition to this is 1 bottle of selenium. You get 1 bottle of selenium a month. You're going to give him the selenium at 1 capsule a day, 1 capsule of the selenium a day, 1 capsule of the selenium a day, and the glucogel capsules, he gets 4 a day, 2 with breakfast and 2 with lunch. 4 a day of the glucogel capsules, 1 a day of the selenium and the Healthy Start Pack as just indicated. Now, that's what I want you to give him every day, like his life depended on it, as for nutritional supplements for 3 months. And here's why. Because from our point of view, the arthritic condition, regardless of the age of onset, is catapulted by his body has run out of the nutrients it needs to keep the bones and joints healthy. Now, sometimes in kids, there can be a catastrophic event which capitulates the presence or the genesis of the arthritic condition. So here's what I mean by that. Let's say you went to the lumber yard and bought a 2x4, a 10-foot 2x4, right? 10-foot piece of wood, 2 inches by 4 inches, and you put it on on 2 concrete blocks. You put 1 concrete block on one end and 1 concrete block on the other end, and it's elevated a couple of feet above the ground. And then in the middle of the board, you started piling concrete blocks. Well, the 2x4, you put 1 concrete block in the middle of it, it's going to bend. You put 2 concrete blocks on the middle of it, it's going to bend a little bit more. You put 3 concrete blocks on it, that sucker's going to snap into like nobody's business. Well, the human body is the same. The human body can only stand so much stress until it breaks. So, your child is young and he's growing. And because he's growing, his body's under stress because it needs nutrients in order to keep up with his growth spurts, right? His body is growing and changing rapidly. It needs a lot of nutrients in order to keep up with his growth. That's one stress. The second stress, tick bite. Third stress, the presence of the chicken pox. Boom, his system broke at its weakest link. For some reason, his bones and joints were his weakest link. And, that's not genetic. You don't have to worry about that. It's got everything to do with lack of nutrition in the child's body. So, it just so happened that 1 stress, 2 stress, 3 stress break, and now he's got arthritis. And so what do? Well, do we, try to figure out the genetic sequencing that led to the impairment of the bones and joints? No. Do we try to look to see whether it was a Lyme disease or association or not, or the virus of the chicken pox or not? No, we don't do any of that. All that we do is give his bones and joints the stuff that they need to fix themselves and have him stop eating food that's getting in the way. Now, this is the other thing. So in addition to giving him those nutritional supplements every day, which will support and promote the structure and function of his bones and joints, which is a good thing, you need to eliminate from his diet 10 foods that cause inflammation and nutrient loss. Now, you can get that list for free by going to my website and signing up for my free monthly newsletter. That's on the front page of the website, fireyourmdnow.com. As soon as you sign up for that, you're going to be directed to a page that has a document called Good Food, Bad Food. And if you download that to your computer and print it up, I have the bad food list. There are 10 foods that we have categorized as bad for you. I don't want anybody in your family eating any of these 10 foods. So have the whole family eliminate these 10 foods from their diet and give your son at 40 pounds these nutritional supplements every day for 90 days. Now call me back on the show live every 2 or 3 weeks and give me a report. Tell me how he's doing, and I'll tell you what to do to tweak it if necessary. Now, one final thing. I have more experience than any other naturopathic physician that I'm aware of with Lyme disease. For almost 12 years, I practiced in a part of the United States that had a very high incidence of Lyme disease. I know a lot about it, both from a clinical point of view and also from a sociological point of view. I put together a webinar about Lyme disease. It's pretty good. And you can have access to that webinar if you sign up for my online health recovery subscription stuff. It's $17 a month. And you can just sign up for it at the same place you sign up for the free newsletter. So just go to the front page of the website, fireyourmdnow.com, sign up for my monthly subscription, and check out the webinar that I put together about Lyme disease. It'll open up your eyes. I doubt very much whether your son has a problem with Lyme disease. I doubt very much that he has a problem with Lyme disease. But if he did, my therapeutic would be unchanged. There's actually one thing that I would add to the therapeutic, but I don't want to do that for 90 days. So sign up for the subscription service, check out the archived webinar about Lyme disease, order these nutritional supplements for your son, get him started on them, and eliminate the 10 bad foods from his diet, your diets, and your wife's diet immediately. Give me a call back every 2 to 3 weeks on the show live and give me a report. And I'm going to look forward to hearing from you, Gareth, because I want to help your son. I know that I can, because this is arthritic conditions in kids are some of the easiest things in the world to fix. And for goodness sake, the last thing you want to do is worry about this. The last thing you want to do is spend any more money trying to diagnose this or dial this in from the MDs, because they have nothing for this. They have nothing for this except, steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, pain medication, and then, let's just wait until he's old enough to give him a fake knee or a fake elbow or a fake finger, and it's nonsense. So stick with me, Gareth. And by the way, to get these supplements at the wholesale price, 855-347-3696. That's the number to call, 855-347-3696. Now, does that all make sense, Gareth? Are we all on the same page here?
Yes, certainly it does, Doctor, and I'm really glad that you've given me that advice. It's just a godsend that I've got somebody like you on the other end that I can call, and I really appreciate that. I just have 2 further questions, Doctor. One is the inflammation. What can I, with the swollen fingers at the moment, what can I do to bring that down?
All right. Well, eliminating the 10 bad foods from his diet will go a long way to do that. And the stuff that's in the Healthy Start Pack in the program that I just outlined will go a long way towards doing that. But there's one extra thing that you can order from Youngevity to help. It's called CM Cream. Charlie Michael, CM Cream. When you apply CM Cream topically, it knocks down inflammation, but it does it naturally. It's non-addictive. It doesn't chew up the gut like anti-inflammatories do. It produces almost 100% response in inflammation of joint tissue, and it really relieves the inflammation from the outside while the body is fixing the problem from the inside. One other thing that you can do while you're waiting for the supplements to come is go to a local health food store and get some curcumin. Get some curcumin. It's an herb, C-U-R-C-U-M-I-N, or bromelain, B like baby, R like Roger, O, M like Mary, E like Edward, L like Larry, A-I-N, bromelain or curcumin. It's a little herb, get it. They usually sell bromelain and curcumin in little gel caps. I would give him 1 curcumin capsule 3 times a day and 1 bromelain 3 times a day between meals, and that will go a long way towards helping to knock down the inflammation that he's experiencing. But when you eliminate the 10 bad foods from his diet, that's also going to help almost immediately.
Thank you very much indeed, Doctor. I really appreciate your advice, and I'll certainly be calling you back within a few weeks.
All right, Gareth, I'll look forward to it. Go get him in. Good luck, and I appreciate the trust. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. London in the house. That's London calling. How about that? Well, we're coming back to the United States now, going to Michigan, talking to Dave, who's calling in with an update about the yeast infection. Hey, Dave, welcome back. You are live.
Hey, Doc, how you doing?
Pretty good. What's the latest?
Well, no change in the yeast infection. My wife thinks it's because of the sugar in the BTT, the Cal-Toddy, the Z-Radical, and she's been taking the killer biotic for 2 weeks and doing the, tampon with the
colloidal silver.
Yep. She hasn't been able to do the silver at work. It's kind of hard to do that. But she's been doing it overnight, and she's eliminated, the 10 bad foods. She believes that she's had this yeast going on for about 3 years. She also thinks she has a leaky gut.
Well, she does. I mean, everybody does, right? So here's the thing. I guess all of this, Dave, begs the question, how does she know that it's yeast as opposed to a bacterial infection?
Okay, well, she did give herself a yeast test swab, and I believe it was 4.5.
Yeah, okay. So there was an actual objective lab test that was done, and it came back positive, right?
Well, not at we fired the MD, so...
Yeah, but it was a home test. You got a home test somewhere.
Yes, sir.
You did it as recommended, and it came back that it popped positive for yeast, but it was really high, right? The numbers were really high.
Correct.
Yeah, all right. So, all right, Dave, we're up against the hard break again. Stick around with me. I'll dial this in for you when we come back, because I have another trick up my sleeve. Thanks for the call back. Stick around, why don't you? Ladies and gentlemen, hey, we're all over the world today. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Don't you love it? It is a network of the informed, a worldwide network, and you are part of it. We are talking to Dave from Michigan. His wife's been battling a chronic yeast infection for 3 years. She's been on the requisite medical nutrition and not getting on the other side of it. So holy smokes, what are we going to do next? Well, all right, so we got to keep everything in perspective here, all right? Now, remember, drugs are not the problem, it's how they're used. There are some instances in which drugs are effective, and I always say that MDs are best suited for trauma, for surgery when it's necessary, and for a handful of infectious diseases. And if she's had this for, a long time, she might just be a candidate for, diflucan, or prescription medicine, an antifungal prescription medicine. She might be. That might not be a bad idea at this time. However, before you walk down that road, there's one other thing to consider. There's a diagnostic lab in the United States. It's called Doctor's Data. And Doctor's Data has, I think, the best yeast analysis clinical kit that's available, because one of the things that Doctor's Data does is when they'll do an analysis of tissue, the best thing in this case would be actually, believe it or not, a stool sample. They do a stool sample, and they'll check it for yeast, because if she has yeast in the urogenital tract, then she's got yeast in the digestive tract as well. And if they find yeast, they do a culture and sensitivity. They'll actually grow it, and then they'll try to kill the particular species of yeast that's in her body with 5 or 6 different herbs and 2 or 3 different prescription meds. And then they'll send you a report, and it'll tell you which drug or which herb specifically was best suited to kill the particular strain of yeast that's in her body. It's awesome, right? So that would be the next thing to do, to get a culture and sensitivity done on her particular type of yeast, and then take the herb that is indicated that kills her yeast in abundance for 4 weeks, in addition to the program that she's doing now, and that'll probably take care of it. And, failing that, then this would be one of the rare instances when we have to fall back on drugs. And remember, it's not the drug, it's how it's used. So let me give you the number for a representative at Doctor's Data. Her name is Brenda. The direct line, 630-485-7168. That's 630-485-7168. So what you want to do is call Doctor's Data and ask for a doctor, a chiropractor that lives in Michigan that is a client of Doctor's Data, right? Because then there's got to be a chiropractor living near you that has an account with Doctor's Data. And you call the chiropractor up, tell them that you spoke to me and that I recommend your wife gets a stool test to check for yeast, and they'll hook you up. and life is good. Doctors' data will only sell tests through licensed physicians. You can't just get them to send you the test as a layperson. You have to go through a doctor. That would be my recommendation because, this should have budged by now. It should have budged. And the fact that it didn't budge, it doesn't have anything to do with the sugars that are in the nutritional supplements, by the way. It just doesn't. It has everything to do with the amount of time that the yeast has been in the body. And, it could be just intractable, and we need to bring out the big guns. So that's what I would do next. Does that make sense to you, Dave? Does that ring true?
Yeah, but she just sent me a text, and she said diarrhea.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you can collect the stool sample, whether you have formed stools or whether you have loose stools. It's irrelevant. If there's yeast present, the test will. It is the best diagnostic test I've ever seen for yeast and other microorganisms. And I've been around this block for over 20 years. So, the consistency of the stool or the frequency of the stool is irrelevant. If there's yeast, the test will pick it up, and that's how I would go next. The only other thing is to just, kind of hunt and peck for different herbal medicines which have been historically effective at killing yeast. And I'll tell you there's two right off the top of my head. One is called berberine, B like baby, E-R-B-E-R-I-N-E, and another is it's a nutritional supplement called undecilinic acid. Undecilinic acid. You can find that at most health food stores. U-N-D like David, E, C like Charlie, decilinic, E-L-Y-N-I-C, undecilinic acid. You can start taking that, or she can get some berberine and take it, but really I think a more effective, better, safer strategy is to just get it checked out clinically and dial that in. So give Doctor's Data a call. Tell me what happens, Dave. I appreciate the call. The other option, just give the therapy that we're on more time, because if she's had yeast for more than 3 years, it's going to take more than a couple of months to get on the other side of it. I don't know. Figure it out. Let me know what you did and give me a call back. I look forward to it always.